Dear learners, welcome you again in another session of the course Systematics of Angiosperm. Today we will explore the another family, that is Rutaceae, that commonly called as citrus or rue family. Now moving towards the systematic position of the family Rutaceae. As we have already studied, a family is from the series Thalbiflorae of the polypetally subclass. Now we will study the families that is belongs to the class Deciflorae, and the order of this particular family is Geranials. So moving towards the systematic position of Rutaceae given by Bentham-Hooker and Engler and Prandtl system. As we have already seen, this particular family is belong to the class Dicotyledons and the subclass is Polypetalae. Series of this particular family is Deciflorae. Deciflorae series have those class in which there is a disc-like, at the base of the there is a disc-like structure is present, and the order is Geranials. In Engler and Prandtl system, this family is also find position in Dicotyledoni and they placed in Archiclamidae, and the order is also Geranials. Now, as we have already seen that systematic position, that is the different identification points of the different rank of the taxon. Like we can identify the dicotyledons plants, like they have a 2 cotyledons, then they have a reticulate venation, and flower parts are typically either pentamerous or tetramerous. Further, the subclass of this particular family, this is the Polypetalae, that means they have a free petals and their floral parts are quite distinct from one another. And the series of this particular family is Deciflorae, that have a disc at the base of the ovary. And further, the order of this particular family is Geranials. In these orders, the stamens generally they have a double the numbers of petals. So these are the systematic position and identification point for the each systematic position. Now moving toward the family's distribution. The members of family Rutaceae are generally distributed in tropicals and temperate regions, and they almost comprises of about 160 genera and more than 2000 species all over the world. And in India, it represented by with 25 genera and 71 species. This family is well known for its several juicy citrus fruits like oranges. And some important plants of this particular family is Murraya, Eagle, Feronia and Ruta. Now moving towards the vegetative characteristic of this particular family, starting from the habit. Generally, the plants of this particular family are either trees or shrubs, while some rarely they are also herbs or maybe xerophytic, as in case of Eagle marmelos. But all the plants parts generally they have a aromatic odor. This is the one of the characteristic feature of the family Rutaceae, the presence of their aromatic nature of the plants. And sometimes the plant shrubs become tree-like, as in case of many citrus species. Although they are in habit, they are shrubs, but they may look like a tree. They attain a particular heights, and all these plants are rich in vitamin C. Now moving towards the next vegetative characteristic, that is root. Now moving towards the next vegetative characteristics, that is root. Roots are generally tap, branch root system is present, and next polar characteristic is the stem. Stem is generally erect, woody, cylindrical, branched and rarely herbaceous, solid with spines, as we can see in these images, and some also have a thorns, as in case of eagle and citrus, and this stem is also aromatic. So as we can see here, the stem is generally, this is the erect stem which have a cylindrical and may have a branched. Now moving towards the vegetative characteristics, that is the leaves. Leaves are generally simple or compound, as in case of Murraya. Generally they are exstipulate with entire or serrate margin. So, if we see the phyllotaxy of the leaves, they are usually alternate as in case of citrus, eagle, but they may be opposite as in case of evodia. And the leaves sometimes reduce to spines as in case of citrus and eagle, as we have seen in the earlier image of the slides. Then the next diagnostic feature of this particular family is the presence of oil glands. They have a gland dotted oil glands on their leaves, as we can see here in this particular image. There is a number of oil glands are present in the leaf surface, which gives a typical smell to the leaves. So, the aromatic region of this particular plant body, they have a oil glands, and especially leaves have a multiple numbers of gland that is shown in this particular figure. Then the next feature is the presence of wing petiole in case of citrus species. As we can see from this figure, these are the wing petiole of the citrus species. This one is also a very diagnostic character of the citrus species. So, although these two are the main diagnostic features of the family, the presence of gland dotted leaves and wing leaf in the case of citrus is the one of the diagnostic features of this particular family Rutaceae. Now moving towards the floral characteristics, and the first in the floral character is the inflorescence. The inflorescence of this particular family is quite various. They may be generally cymose, rarely raceme as in case of feronia, or some plant the flowers are either solitary axillary as in case of citrus species, and Murraya the flower arranged in a axillary or terminal in corymb, as we can see here. So, the inflorescence shows quite variation in this particular family. Now, moving towards the flower. Flowers are generally actinomorphic, but rarely they are also zygomorphic, pedicellate and ebracteate, complete, bisexual, but sometimes unisexual as in case of feronia, hypogynous and complete. Now, mostly they are pentamerous or tetramerous. That means they have a floral parts either in the multiples of 4 or in 5. So, now moving towards the next floral characteristics, that is calyx and corolla. So, calyx, we know that the calyx is the outer floral parts of the flower. The calyx number is either 4 to 5, which is showing that the flowers are either tetramerous or pentamerous, and they all are polycephalous in condition. Especially in zygomorphic flowers, the calyx become tubular or united, but often they are polycephalous. The distribution of calyx is either imbricate or quincuncial. Now moving towards the corolla. Corolla number is also 4 to 5. They are polypetalous but rarely gamopetalous, and they are variously colored with imbricate aestivation. As we can see here, the petals which are white in color, we see they are polypetalous, that means they are free. Now moving towards the male reproductive part, that is the endoecium of the flower. The number of stamens in general, as we have already seen that the geranials order has the double number of the petals in stamens. So, if the number of petals are 4, then the stamen number is 8, and if the petal number is 5, then the stamen number is generally 10. So, it varies in between the 8 to 10, and they have a quite interesting condition, that is the obdiplostaminous condition, which is present in some members of this particular family, in which the stamens are arranged in 2 rows. Then they are also polyadelphous in case of citrus species, and generally anthers are introse, diathecous, basifixed or versatile. So, the condition of present, that is the presence of obdiplostaminous condition and in some genera, and the polyadelphous in citrus is quite interesting in this particular family. Moving towards the female reproductive part, that is gynoecium. Generally, it is a 4 to 5 carpellary, and maybe sometime it has a less number, or maybe sometime it has a infinite numbers of carpels. Usually, they are united at the base of the sides, forming a deeply lobed structure, and which is formed by the fusion of style originating from the center of the ovary. The styles are terminal, stigma is capitate, as we can see here. The style is terminal, that arises from the ovary. So this is a terminal style, and the stigma, we can see it is a capitate and is also sticky in nature. So they have a terminal style and capitate with sticky stigma. Carpels are generally fully united in case of citrus, and they show axial presentation with superior ovary, but sometimes rarely they are unilocular with parietal presentation, as in case of Feronia. So we can see the floral formula of this particular family is, as we have seen, the most of the flowers are actinomorphic. That means they have a radial symmetry. Then generally the flowers are bisexual except Feronia. Then the calyx number is 5. Sometimes they may be united. Corolla number is also 5. Androecium may be, most commonly they are 10, but maybe 8 to 10, and the gynoecium is generally 3 to 5 with superior ovary. So these are the floral formula and the different representation of the floral features. Now moving towards the fruit. Now moving toward the next floral characteristics, that is fruit. Fruits generally they have a various types of fruit in different genera, like Hesperidium in case of citrus, which is a modified form of a berry, in capsule in case of Findaceae, drupe in case of Acronychia, and berry in case of Murraya. So there is a quite variation in the types of fruit in this particular family, and the main in the citrus species they generally have a Hesperidium, which is also a diagnostic feature of this particular species. Now, as we have already studied the many characteristic vegetative and floral characteristics, here are the some list of diagnostic features of this particular family. Like generally they have a habit trees or shrubs. Leaves especially they have a gland dotted, simple or compound leaves. Stamens free or polyadelphous, as in case of citrus species, and sometimes they also show the obdiploid stamens, in which the stamens are arranged in two valves. The ovary is superior, which is seated on a nectary disc. Now the fruit, which is berry or maybe Hesperidium, as in case of citrus, and the next important thing, that is the aromatic odor in this particular families. So as you can see, this figure representing the disc at which the ovary is present and the style is terminal. Then there is a many numbers of stamens, and this plant showing the berry fruit from this particular family. So the whole plant of this particular family, due to the presence of this gland dotted leaves, have a aromatic odor, which is giving a very good appearance in the, if we cultivated all these plants as a ornamental plants. Now these are the some common examples of the family Rutaceae, like Xanthoxylum, that is showing in this particular image. Then Agosthoma. These are the citrus flower and fruit, which is Hesperidium. Then Ruta, which is a common cord genera in the many Indian continent. These plant species have a aromatic flavor. This slide showing the common examples of the family Rutaceae, like Xanthoxylum, Agosthoma, citrus species, which we can visualize the fruit which has a Hesperidium. Ruta, that plant whole plant body has a aromatic fragrance. Then Murraya, which is specially used, some species is called as curry leaves, which also have a aromatic odor and use as a condiments. And this particular figure is showing the characteristics of this particular family Rutaceae. Here the citrus orientum, and then this one is the Murraya paniculata. You can see here, as I have told you, the leaves are generally they have a alternate arrangement. Then these leaves, if you see the LS of the flower, you can see this is the ovary. The number of stamens are in different number, and they are arranged in a many groups, that is termed as the polyadelphous. Then the fruit is Hesperidium, there is a LS of the flower, and this is the TS of the ovary, from which we can see there is a presence of a exile presentation. Then if you see the carpels, they are present on a disc-like structure. That's why the capitate eczema, which has a sticky in nature. In comparative to this particular citrus species, Moraiya has a compound leaves, while citrus has a simple leaves. So both the type of leaves we can see in this particular families are present, simple as well as compound. Similarly, if you see there is a solitary flowers, while Moraiya has a corymphs. Then if we see the stamens number, they are arranged in a tubers and showing the obdiploistaminous condition. So here there is a presence of polyadelphous condition, and in case of Moraiya, the presence of a obdiploistaminous condition. Here you can see the TS of ovary, which is made up of bicarpellary syncarpus and with exile presentation. So there is a quite different in this two particular species, but both of the plants, they have a aromatic odor. That's why they are diagnostic character of this particular family in the ovary, which has a disc-like structure. Now moving towards the economic importance of this particular family. Many citrus species, due to the presence of citric acid, they have a very fragrance, and many species are consumed as fruits as well as vegetable. So here is the list of the citrus fruits which is present. That is the citrus aurantifolia. In Hindi, it is called as the kagzi nimbu, which has a citric acid in its fruits and used as a bilus in vomiting. So the fruit ball of this particular has a many essential oils. Then now moving towards the next citrus species and variety, that is the Citrus aurantium, the variety Bergomia, that is in vernacular name that is termed as the nimbu. This particular ripe fruit is digestive and used as a tonic. The fruit ball gives also, that is the oil that is called as the bergamot. So next citrus species, that is Citrus aurantium variety Begardia, that is in Hindi termed as the khatta. This is also rich in vitamin A and vitamin B, and the oil is also present in the fruit wall. Then the Citrus maxima, that is in Hindi called as chakotra, produces edible fruits. Then Citrus sinensis, which in Hindi called as mosambi. This fruit is also widely used during the illness. It purifies the blood, reduces thirst and improves the appetite of the person. Then next moving towards the next citrus species, that is the Citrus reticulata, which in Hindi called as santara or narangi. This ripe fruit is also highly nutrient rich in assemblage calcium, and the fruit ball also produces citrus oils. Then the next is Citrus limetoides, which is called as meetha nimbu, is useful in case of fever, jaundice, or it is oil obtained from the wall. Then the next one is the Citrus limon, which is also in Hindi called as pahari nimbu. The juice of this particular ripe fruit is useful in rheumatism and dysentery. Then the next fruit that is obtained from the eagle marmalose, which in vernacular name is bale. This is normally a edible fruit, and the fruit particularly useful during the stomach disorders, and the plant is considered holy and its leaves used in worshipping the god Shiva. So this particular eagle marmalose have a fruit as well as it is also used as a. Now moving towards the next fruit plant, that is the Feronia limonia, which in Hindi called as the cath bale. The fruit is edible and the leaf and bark are used medicinally. So we can see there is a number of fruit are produced by the only one genus, that is the citrus, and the different species. Generally, all these species, they are very rich in vitamin C and they also have a citric acid, and they produce the essential oil, that is a citrus oil. Now moving towards the plant which have a medicinal importance. As we have seen that the citrus species not only produces fruits, but also generally they have a very rich in vitamin C. So these plants are used for the medicinally extraction for the vitamin C. Then other plants like Borosma betulina produces buchu from its leaf, which is useful in urinary diseases. The next plant, that is the Pilocarpus microphyllus. It is a active principles in the pilocarpine, which contraction causes the contraction of the pupil. It is just opposite to the atropine. And the gibberellin is prepared from the leaf of this particular plant, which is useful in the kidney diseases. And the next species that is quite common, that is the Murraya congigae. And the next plant species is quite common, that is the Murraya congigae. And in Hindi it is commonly called as cut neem on curry leaves, which have several medicinal properties. Besides this, is also its bark and roots are useful in the bites of poisonous during the animals when applied externally. These leaves are also used as a curry powder in particularly South Indian, as well as now it is commonly used in all part of the India. So Murraya congigae also have a medicinal benefits. Now moving towards the ornamental plants and some other economic benefit of this particular family. Plants like ruta, lavanga, petlia, calodendron, limonia, murraya are cultivated in gardens for their fragrant flowers, because they whole plant generally they have a aromatic odor, which is one of the characteristics of this particular family, Rutaceae, and Xanthosylum piperatum, which gives the Japan pepper, and Ruta graveolus gives French oil of rue. Then Gallipia officinalis yields Casperia barks. So these are the some economic importance of this particular family, as we have seen that this particular family has a so many economic importance. Mostly they yield many edible fruits that have a very rich in vitamin C. Besides this, they also have some medicinal important plants. They also have some ornamental values, and so this family is very economically important. Now moving towards the primitive characters present in this particular family. As we can see, plants generally trees, as in case of feronia or eagle, and maybe shrubs in case of citrus. And the flowers are bisexual, hypogynous, actinomorphic, and generally they are scented. And the corollas are free, and the stamen numbers in many genera are very high or indefinite. So like in eagle, Sickemia. So these are the primitive characters of this present in this particular families. There is a presence of many stamens in some genera, as in case of eagle and Ischemia. So these are the primitive characteristics present in the family Rutaceae. Now moving towards the advanced characteristic which is present in this particular family, like presence of compound leaf in some genera, like in case of Murraya. Flowers is unisexual in case of Feronia. And the next is the flower is zygomorphic in case of Gallipia, Dictamnus, Almedia. Then flower may be trimerous as in case of Triphasia. And the calyx is gamosepalous. Corolla is also gamopetalous in case of Coria, Ticoria and Gallipia. Then the stamen number is reduced to 5 in case of Ischemia from many, as in case of citrus and eagle. Now gynoecium, that is syncarpus, and reduction in the number of carpus to 1 as in case of Implyrium. So these are the some advanced characteristics which is present in this particular family. That's all for the today. Next we will learn the some next family that belong to the series Thalmiflorae. Thank you all for your patience. That's all for today.